at a time when X is desperate to increase its advertiser base, which has evaporated in the wake of many complaints over the past year and a half about racist and anti-Semitic content, will investors like Gerber Kawasaki's clients continue to exit the stock? Let's bring in one Tesla shareholder. He is trader Keith Fitz-Gerald, longtime Tesla bull, who says for now, well, I'll let you say it. You're holding on to your shares, right?
We're holding on to our shares, but we're watching this for all the same reasons that Gerber is. You know, we're fielding the same kinds of calls, the same kinds of questions. And where it comes down to is, Musk doesn't evidently have a filter between his brain and his mouth. And as a CEO, that's kind of concerning. So the question is, where do you go? How do you take a stand on this personally? And what do you look for in the company if you can't separate it from the man?
Well, let's look, Keith, at the selling pressure on the stock, which yesterday was very notable. Okay, what do we have? We've got Tesla's trading volume hitting 135.4 million shares. That basically eclipses its 50-day average volume of 121.5 million shares. This wasn't just a thinly traded move.
No, it wasn't. And, the question and what we don't know and what we look at every single day is, how is that arbitrage? What options are offsetting that position? Is this major buyers going out, or is this mom and pop cleaning up the shop and leaving? So we don't know the answer exactly to those questions yet, but, it's not going to take a lot to tip the apple off the cart if, in fact, this accelerates. If there's not an apology, if there's not some sort of remark from Musk himself, then I, too, am going to think very seriously about where I want to draw a line in the sand on this one.
Yeah, it's disturbing, certainly. But here's the thing. Twitter, X, is not publicly traded. However, Elon Musk's other company, Tesla, is. And that has obviously bled over into the stock. And the anecdotal evidence I was getting from not just Gerber Kawasaki, who, by the way, as a firm, they are holding on to their shares like you, but they were fielding so many calls from clients saying, I don't care, I'm out. But not only that, I've been talking to Tesla owners who say they're done. There are so many other options right now. I mean, when you look at how many EV offerings there are in Audi, BMW, even lesser price point ranges, I mean, Marco, one of our floor crew, was just showing me the Nissan X-Trail. It's in Europe right now. It charges itself as it drives, and it's like 38,000 euros. Not that much. The sort of scarcity premium that Elon Musk had with Tesla for so long is fast evaporating, is it not?
Well, this is the interesting part. It is and it isn't, because you've got the global charging network, which by itself is probably $20-25 billion annuity. It's going to be the global standard here very, very shortly as manufacturers move to it. We see all kinds of EV choices at home in Japan. We see them here in the U.S. But funny enough, that's exactly the data point that I'm looking for, is what are Tesla owners going to do? Because it's one thing if Wall Street gets upset, but if all of a sudden Tesla just start flooding the used car lots, then that is a material problem for not just Musk, but for all of Tesla.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Keep us posted, but for now, you're holding on to your shares. Although, can I just quickly ask, what were you hearing from your customer calls?
Very much the same commentary. What do I do about this? What do I make about this? And my commentary and response was, look, you've got to be very careful where you throw stones in glass houses, because if you look back through history, some of the world's biggest names, for example, were connected with Nazi Germany. Some of the world's biggest names were connected with sweatshops, including, Apple and Nike over the years, allegedly. So there's a very, very fine line between how you personally value a company and how you value that.
With Nike, Nike put in a lot of work, not perfect, but they acknowledged the problem. Elon has doubled down.
Exactly. Possibly a liability. And that's my point. That's my point, is Musk has got an opportunity here to fix this. And if he is smart, he's going to do that. If he doesn't, then I'm going to, again, think very, very seriously about where we draw the line in the sand. Because, boy, I tell you what, personally, I had a huge problem with the way he framed that in his remarks.
Yeah, heard from so many people who thought, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Exactly.
Charlie Gasparino, by the way, is coming up in just a few minutes. He is tackling the board aspect of this. Where is the board of directors for Tesla? Keith, really quickly, we're looking at markets week to date that look very good. Quarter to date, fantastic for the Dow, NASDAQ, S&P. What is the driver here at this point?
The expectation is definitely a shift in psychology. We picked up on it early. There is going to be some sort of Fed pause and or a cut coming up, maybe, I think, still in Q1 224. But nonetheless, the psychology has changed. That's the tremor that's bled through the market. Everybody's got to get on the gas because they can't afford to be left behind.
And when we're looking at rates, Treasury rates, the 10-year, the longer end of the curve, at least earlier, was falling, and the higher end was moving up, which I thought was rather interesting at the moment. But we're looking at 100% odds of another pause by the Federal Reserve come the December meeting, and then we start to see some cuts by mid-year next year, maybe even before the mid-year. Do you see that happening?
I think that's a little optimistic. I mean, I've been in this hot seat before where I've disagreed with what's being assessed by the marketplace. I believe that we're still going to have one rate hike ahead before the Fed gets taken to the woodshed and realizes the error of its ways.
Keith, have a good weekend. Thank you.
You too. Thank you, Liz.
Keith Fitz-Gerald. Our next guest is...
Hi, it's Keith here. Thanks for checking out today's highlight clip. What'd you think? Did I make sense? Is there something you'd like to add? Make sure you leave a comment down below, and of course, click subscribe to keep up right here on YouTube, or sign up for the email newsletter at the link below. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram for my real-time thoughts on markets, analysis, and a whole lot more.